Clark has landed herself a new, very high-profile position. There's no CBA right now. This, of course, would run through at least May. With some miscellaneous media outlet, Caitlin Clark would get a gig.
Caitlin Clark's impact on professional sports has reached a point where major media corporations are restructuring their departments to accommodate her. While most athletes focus on job security, Clark has prompted NBC to revise its fundamental broadcasting strategy. The shift is significant. It is comparable to a newcomer entering an organization and immediately influencing executive-level decisions. This represents a rare level of institutional leverage, echoing the era when Michael Jordan's personal brand transcended the league itself. The power balance within the WNBA has not simply shifted, it has been fundamentally altered. Caitlin Clark is joining NBC Sports as a lead analyst for its new flagship program, Basketball Night in America. This is not a peripheral role or a marketing stunt involving social media clips. NBC has placed a 22-year-old on a broadcast desk alongside established Hall of Famers like Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, and Tracy McGrady. These veterans hold decades of professional experience and multiple scoring titles, yet they will share the platform with an analyst who graduated college only a year ago. This appointment serves as a clear signal from the sports media establishment that the industry is transitioning toward a new era centered around Clark's influence. The timing of this development coincides with growing internal tensions within the WNBA. The players' union recently opted out of the collective bargaining agreement, raising the possibility of a lockout in 2026. As players advocate for increased salaries, improved travel conditions, and a higher share of league revenue, much of which has been driven by Clark's entry into the league, Clark has secured her own financial future. Her contract with NBC extends through May 2026. Should the league face a work stoppage, Clark has established a revenue stream independent of her on-court participation. She has effectively built a professional fortress. This move is as much about strategic leverage as it is about financial gain. NBC recently committed billions of dollars to reclaim NBA broadcasting rights, launching Basketball Night in America as a direct competitor to major primetime sports programming. The network required a figure capable of connecting traditional NBA fans with the expanding audience following the women's game. NBC executive producer Sam Flood has categorized Clark not merely as a talented women's player, but as one of the most captivating figures in all of basketball. The network intends to market her as a premier basketball mind capable of analyzing the technical nuances of the game at any level. This creates a complex dynamic within the league. Veteran players who have spent years advocating for basic improvements, such as charter flights and competitive wages, now see a rookie earning a multi-million-dollar salary as a national broadcaster in New York. While there have been reports of resentment regarding Clark's rapid rise, this partnership complicates the union's efforts to maintain a unified front. Clark has become a media conglomerate supported by NBC, Nike, and Gatorade. In future negotiations, WNBA ownership will be contending with a player whose platform is arguably larger than the league itself. Clark is scheduled to make her broadcasting debut on February 1st, during the Lakers vs. Knicks game at Madison Square Garden. The setting provides a high-stakes environment for her transition to the booth. If her analysis relies on standard cliches, she will likely face scrutiny from critics who view her as a distraction. However, if she demonstrates the same high basketball intelligence that defined her playing career, it will validate NBC's investment. A successful debut would prove that the Caitlin Clark effect extends beyond ticket sales and into the way global audiences consume sports media. The parallels to the 1990s are evident. During that decade, NBC utilized Michael Jordan's persona to broaden the appeal of the NBA to a general audience. The network is now applying that same logic to Clark, betting that her presence will draw viewers to games she isn't even playing in. It is a calculated risk for both the network and the athlete. Clark is risking her reputation alongside experienced broadcasters, but her career has been defined by exceeding high expectations. As the February debut approaches, the focus remains on how the WNBA will adapt to a superstar who does not rely on the league for her status. The definition of power in professional sports has been rewritten. Caitlin Clark has demonstrated that she is the central attraction, and NBC's investment confirms it. The era of the player-mogul has arrived, and for now, it is centered on a rookie from the Indiana Fever. The economic footprint of Caitlin Clark extends beyond her broadcasting contract with NBC. Her endorsement portfolio, led by a multi-year agreement with Nike, reported to be worth $28 million, has positioned her as a central figure in the athletic apparel industry. In January 2026, Nike confirmed that Clark's first signature shoe is nearing its market debut after 18 months of development. This release, accompanied by a dedicated apparel line, makes her one of the few women in history to anchor a signature collection of this scale. In her own assessment, Clark has pushed for performance technology that rivals or exceeds existing standards in the industry, specifically citing her preference for the technical specifications of high-performance models used by established NBA stars. This commercial trajectory mirrors that of the most influential figures in sports history. Clark's partnership with Wilson Sporting Goods is another example of this historical alignment. She is only the second athlete to collaborate with the brand on a signature basketball collection, the first being Michael Jordan in the 1980s. The collection features laser-etched designs commemorating her collegiate achievements, turning a standard piece of equipment into a high-value collector's item. Financial analysts at organizations like the Common Sense Institute have estimated that her presence alone generated over $82 million in consumer spending during her final year in Iowa. This Clarkonomics effect has transitioned seamlessly into the professional ranks, where her jersey became the second best-selling piece of basketball merchandise in North America, trailing only Stephen Curry. The broader WNBA has experienced a valuation surge that coincides with Clark's professional entry. In 2025, League Commissioner Kathy Engelbert announced an expansion to 18 teams by 2030, with new franchises in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. These new owners are paying entry fees of $250 million, a five-fold increase from the $50 million paid by the Golden State Valkyries just a year prior. Current estimates place the average value of a WNBA franchise at nearly $300 million, triple the average valuation from 2022. While several factors contribute to this growth, financial experts have attributed over 25% of the league's total revenue in 2024 directly to Clark's presence, citing her impact on attendance, television ratings, and merchandise. Despite this individual success, the 2025 season presented physical challenges that tested the league's resilience. Clark was limited to 13 games due to groin and ankle injuries, eventually being shut down for the season in September. This absence provided a critical data point for the Caitlin Clark effect. While the Indiana Fever's attendance saw fluctuations during her recovery, league-wide interest remained historically high. The WNBA reported a 34% increase in total attendance for 2025, surpassing 3 million fans for the first time. The emergence of other young stars, such as Paige Buchers of the Dallas Wings, has helped the league maintain its momentum even when its primary needle mover is sidelined. As Clark prepares for her return to the court in 2026, her off-season decisions have underscored her unique status. She has twice declined offers to participate in Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 domestic league co-founded by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. Despite reports of seven-figure salary offers and equity stakes designed to entice her to Miami, Clark has prioritized her physical recovery and her commitments to USA Basketball. Her focus remains on the 2026 FIBA Women's World Cup in Germany. By opting out of secondary leagues, she has effectively concentrated her brand value, ensuring that her eventual return to 5-on-5 competition remains a rare and high-demand event. The 2026 WNBA season is currently framed by ongoing labor negotiations. Although the league released its schedule in January, citing a May 8th tip-off, the collective bargaining agreement expired on January 9th. The league and the players' union are operating under a status quo period, but the threat of a strike or lockout remains. Players are seeking a revenue-sharing model that reflects the league's recent financial gains, with proposals including a 30% share of gross revenue and a $10.5 million salary cap. The Indiana Fever are scheduled to open their season against the Dallas Wings in a game that features both Clark and Buchers, a matchup that teams are already moving to larger venues to meet ticket demand. The tension between the league's institutional growth and its labor disputes highlights the unprecedented position Clark occupies. She is an active participant in the union's struggle for better conditions, yet her independent wealth and media standing provide her with a level of security most of her peers do not possess. If a lockout were to occur, Clark's roles with NBC, Nike, and Gatorade would continue to function. She has reached a level of market independence where her career is no longer strictly tethered to the operational status of a single league. This independence is the defining characteristic of the modern player-mogul. In the past, athletes relied on their leagues to provide the platform for their fame. Today, as evidenced by Clark's debut at Madison Square Garden as an analyst, the athlete brings the platform with them. NBC's decision to pair her with legends like Carmelo Anthony, is a recognition that her perspective carries weight not just because of her statistics, but because of her cultural capital. As the WNBA moves toward its 30th anniversary season, it does so in an environment where its most famous player has redefined the relationship between the athlete, the broadcaster, and the league. The debut on February 1st will serve as the first major test of this new reality. For the first time, Clark will be evaluated solely on her ability to translate her basketball IQ into a broadcast product. The outcome will likely influence how other active stars approach their off-seasons and their long-term career planning. If Clark succeeds in the booth while simultaneously preparing for a championship run with the Fever, she will have established a new blueprint for professional athletes. The question is no longer whether one player can change a league, but how a league adapts to a player who has already changed the market. The professionalization of Caitlin Clark's off-court brand reached a significant milestone in January 2026, when Nike confirmed that her first signature shoe was nearing its market debut. After 18 months of development, the release marks the fulfillment of a centerpiece in her 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. Clark's involvement in the design process was technical. She reportedly advocated for performance specifications that meet the standards of the Kobe Bryant line she frequently wore during her rookie season. By securing a signature sneaker early in her career, Clark joins a select group of athletes whose commercial identity is established as a standalone entity within a global corporation. The scale of Clark's financial independence is highlighted by her estimates indicate she earned approximately $16.1 million last year, with 99.3% of that total coming from endorsements, rather than her WNBA salary. While her league compensation remains under the rookie scale of approximately $14,000, including bonuses, her portfolio has expanded to include major partnerships with Ascension St. Vincent and Stan Lee, alongside existing deals with Gatorade, State Farm, and Panini America. This vast disparity between athletic salary and endorsement income has become a central point of discussion in the current labor negotiations between the league and the players' union. As of late January 2026, those negotiations have entered a critical phase. Although the WNBA released a 44-game schedule for the upcoming season, a formal collective bargaining agreement has not been reached since the previous deal expired on January 9th. The league and the players' union remain in a status quo period, but the stalemate has already delayed logistical milestones like the expansion draft for new franchises in Toronto and Portland. The union is currently seeking a 30% share of gross revenue and a significant increase in the salary cap to 10%. The league's counter-proposals have suggested a transition toward a model where top-tier salaries could exceed $1 million, contingent on revenue growth. The tension of these negotiations is set against the backdrop of Clark's upcoming media commitment. Her debut on Basketball Night in America occurs as the league faces these unresolved labor issues, placing her in a position where her broadcasting role may intersect with the business of her primary profession. For NBC, the focus remains on the debut at Madison Square Garden, where executive producer Sam Flood has indicated that Clark will provide pre-game and halftime commentary alongside the network's veteran analyst. This residency is not a singular event. She is already scheduled for a second major appearance on March 29th. These appearances represent a new standard for active players, functioning as both an analyst of the game and a primary driver of its commercial future.